hearing scheduled for tonight. Item 24-2W, Plainfield Pike LLC, looking for approval to construct a 1,253,914 square foot commercial warehouse and associated paved parking within the upper review area for property located at 143 to 151 Plainfield Pike, Assessors Map 25, Block 36, Lot 32.
Hi, good evening. For the record, my name is John Schmitz. I'm a civil engineer and project manager of BL Companies, 355 Research Parkway here in Connecticut, representing Plainfield Pike LLC tonight. With me here tonight is Dean Gustafson, our soil scientist, who's working on the project, as well as a member of Plainfield Pike LLC, who's here tonight to answer any questions about the development or operations of the facility in general. First of all, I just want to hand a little housekeeping. I have some green cards just returning to staff. The green cards are like certified receipts that I just handed in for the mail that was sent out. So what I'm going to do is just walk through the project in general, give you an overview, a description of this site and what we propose to do. So yeah, Tony, you just flip through the slide. So the plan that's up in front of you now is a visiting map. It's an aerial view of the site. Just to orient you, north is looking directly to the left. Plainfield Pike, Route 14A, running up and down on the left-hand side of the site on the page, and our site extends to the right. The property in total is 139.5 acres. It is surrounded by some industrial and residential uses, and it is currently in a state of mixed use, meaning that some of it is disturbed. There's a quarry operation in the middle of it, and the rest of the property today is undeveloped. And there are wetlands throughout, which we'll get into if we flip to the next slide. So this is a colored version of the survey that was done. Just give a little better idea of what's going on with the site. So again, Plainfield Pike is on the left, which is where our current driveways are. The gray area kind of represents where the clearing is today for a lot of the quarry operation. It's already been disturbed. The lighter green surrounding the gray is also a disturbed area today. It's kind of some scrub brush. The darker green area throughout is wooded property throughout the development. The olive color that's along the top of the site and then wraps around, there's a finger to the south side as well as down to the southeast corner. Those are wetland areas, and I'll let Dean go into that in a little bit more detail a little later on, but that's kind of a general idea of the existing site. And we'll do a flip to the site plan to show you what we propose to do. So again, what we propose is a new warehouse on the site, centrally located, trying to squeeze in between the development where we're restricted to the east as well as to the southeast. It'll be a warehouse approximately 2,000 feet long, 600 feet wide, roughly. It's about 1.25 million square feet. We have two access drives off of Plainfield Pike, one on the one to the east and one to the west. We have parking in the northeast corner of the building, and then additional parking for employees far south in the building. And then because it is a warehouse, there are truck bays on both sides. So typically, we have receiving on one side, shipping on the other. Product flows across the warehouse. So we have truck bays on both sides of the warehouse, as well as truck, or rather trailer stalls, again on both sides of the building. A small office area, which is a little protrusion you see on the very north of the building, so that would be, again, for office space. We can flip to the next slide. This is an overall grading and drainage plan. What we've done is to site the warehouse at a first floor with approximately 322.5 feet, which is a cut. I mean, we're reducing the existing grade there. So today, to give you an idea, the site slopes from the east to the west. So we have wetlands on the east, which is oddly enough a high point along the very top of the site, and then it slopes down to the west, down to the bottom of the page. by lowering the site, we're trying to create a balance here. So on the top side of the page there, we'll be in a cut. So we'll have a retaining wall along there of varying height up to 30, 40 feet. And we'll have the building, and on the bottom end there, which would be the westerly end, that area would be in a fill. So we'll have another retaining wall there, but again, that will be filling and retaining the fill in the building. We'll also be creating additional fill and retaining wall for the parking area on the northwest corner of the building. And obviously the parking, the driveways meet the road at the grade. I do want to point out here, just because we discussed a little bit at the last meeting, you might recall, we've designed it so that both access drives coming up to the building are maxed out about 6%, which was, because of the truck traffic coming in here, it's about as steep as we could get, getting up to the building to create a pad, create a level pad of the building, but creating a safe access drive throughout the winter so we can get trucks in and out without too much issue. We go to the next slide. There's a copy of the overall erosion control plan, just kind of give you an idea of what we propose to do here. So again, the erosion control has been designed with the Kennedy guidelines for soil erosion control as the site is cleared. And as far as disturbance numbers go, just to throw some numbers at you, total land disturbance about 82 acres, which is roughly about 8 acres larger than the previous design. We can adapt. As far as erosion control goes, the site would be cleared, stumped. There would be 2 main sediment basins that will be constructed to hold stormwater during construction. You see one on the central portion of the site, on the eastern side, and one out by Plainfield Pike. The blue lines you see there are temporary diversion ditches that would be constructed. They would have stone check dams in them. They would control stormwater and direct stormwater runoff during construction into those sediment basins so that water could then sediment intake and runoff could then settle out, and then stormwater is discharged from there. The yellow again kind of highlights the limits of disturbance, which would also indicate the limits of silt fence, where we would provide perimeter controls to keep sediment from leaving the limits of construction. Access to the site again would be where we propose our driveway, so we would have anti-tracking aprons there to help prevent any tracking material off the site. When we go to the next slide, so just for comparison purposes, we put this slide together to give some indication of what was previously approved and what we propose to do. So the blue rectangle, the blue lines that are there are what we propose today. That's the new building. The red lines that are there are the previous building, as well as the previous parking and the previous limits of disturbance. So in this case, as you can see, as far as the width goes, the building is more or less the same width. Our newer building is slightly larger, like 20 feet wider or so, but we're longer. We're longer to the south, and we're longer to the north, so we push the building in both directions. Again, locating the building centrally in the middle of the site, parking on both sides of the building. Truck access, driveways are in very similar positions. We did move some of the parking before. It was, previously, the old design had a large number of the parking field between the building and the road. We shifted some of the parking to the south end of the site as well as to the northwest corner. And with regards to grades, we did talk about this last time. I think I spoke actually. The previous design had a first floor of 316 feet. The new design, the building's closer to the road. That first floor is raised up to 322.5. So again, we're roughly 6.5 feet higher with the new building, but we're closer to the road because we steepened up the driveway to get it as steep as we could and still maintain safety with the road. And so the orangey areas that you see, those are the increases in the limit of disturbance between the previous plan and this plan. So just kind of give you a graphical representation of where the boundaries, where the limits are pushed out beyond the previous limit of disturbance. And in total, those areas are roughly 8.2 acres. Again, overall disturbance about 82 acres. So I think if we go to the next slide. we're going to talk a little bit about wetlands mitigation and how we plan to address our impacts. You can come up and just kind of describe some of the wetlands in general and then mitigation.
Great, thank you, John. Good evening, my name is Dean Gustafson, and I'm a professional soil scientist, senior wetland scientist with All Points Technology. I've been a wetland consultant in Connecticut for 37 years, maintaining registrations with the Society of Soil Scientists of Southern New England, Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists, and Association of Massachusetts Wetland Scientists. Excuse my voice tonight, dealing with some allergies. And like yourself, I volunteer my time on the Lebanon Inland Wetland Commission, where I've been a commission member for over 28 years. So I certainly appreciate your time for protection of wetland resources in Plainfield. Just to step back real quickly, as far as the overall wetland characteristics of the site has historically been altered by agricultural activities within the central portion of the property, which has resulted in aggregate changes of landscape scale, both within the uplands and wetland areas. The more recent quarry operation, mining operation, has also altered some of the upland view areas to these wetland resources. Your highest function wetland system is the wetland page north or page up, which is on the eastern side of the property. We identify that as wetland 1. It's associated with the riparian corridor, Friar Brook, and it contains a man-made farm towards the seep areas and a perennial stream system that flows to the north and then goes under a Plainfield pipe. That wetland system has a dominance in the understory and in the adjacent uplands of invasive woody plants, woody invasive shrubs and vines, which has diminished some of the functional value of that wetland system, primarily from water quality as well as principally a wildlife habitat function. Other wetlands on the property are located to the west, kind of the southwestern, and then the southern end of the subject property. That wetland system is primarily identified as wetland 4. That drains to the west off property and joins larger wetland system off property to the west. There is a small isolated wetland system which is identified as wetland 5. That's part of kind of the historic agricultural activities on the property. It's actually a small isolated man-made wetland system that was created through farming operations and an old farm road within upland soils. So as a result of this small isolated man-made nature, it serves little function of value. The regular activities that are before this commission are associated with the filling of that wetland 5, which totals 4,525 square feet, or about 1/10 of an acre in size, as well as approximately 7.5 acres of upland view area, primarily associated with 1 and 4. So as you've seen and explained by John, the project has done a great job of avoiding impacting the majority of wetland systems and the highest functioning wetland systems on the site. But avoidance of wetland 5 is not feasible, considering the building program needs of the operator of this facility. And so what we've done is provided a very comprehensive and extensive mitigation plan that enhances wetland 1, both within the wetland system, of about 3.2 acres, and along the upland review area wetland 1 and wetland 4, which totals over 5.5 acres. That consists primarily of removal of invasive species and then planting with a wide variety of native trees, shrubs, and invasive material that will significantly improve the function and value of those wetland systems, primarily with a focus of water quality enhancements as well as wildlife habitat enhancements. Next slide. So these are just representative photographs that were taken recently of wetland 5. For the untrained eye, it doesn't look like a wetland system. It's not dominated by wetland plants. It does contain wetland soils because the upper soil profile was removed by historic agricultural activities. And the soil remains saturated long enough during the growing season to wetland soil profile. But it doesn't have really any principal functional values because of the lack of sustained hydrology and dominance of wetland plants. These are representative photographs of wetland 1. The one on the left is looking down Fry Brook. It's a little difficult to see, but in the background is Plainfield Pike. That understory is dominated by invasive shrubs and multiple windows. And then the second photograph on the right-hand side looks at the interior of the wetland system, and that's Fry Brook, shown on the left side of that photograph. Next slide, please. So we did look at some various alternatives to try to further minimize wetland impact. As I said, the main design intent was to try to avoid impact to the highest functioning wetland systems of the property. That was achieved with the principal goal of design. And like I said, wetland 5 is unavoidable impact. We're providing a significant mitigation plan to mitigate for that impact, plus work within the upland review area. And when you look at it from a function and value standpoint, yes, you're losing about 4,500 square feet of wetland, but you're not losing any function and value because it's not providing any. So we feel this is the most prudent, feasible alternative, and that the project will not result in overall adverse effect on wetland resources. With that, I think that concludes our presentation.
Again, John Schmitz, just wanted to mention it. We did have a letter, I think, from Army Corps. We looked at that pocket and whether or not it was jurisdictional.
Yep, no, good point, John. So we supplied a wetland assessment report to the commission as part of the original wetland application filing. An attachment to that report is the formal jurisdictional determination by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Wheeling District with respect to wetland 5 as an attachment in that document. And the Corps agrees that that is not considered wetlands in the United States, and therefore there's no jurisdiction by the Army Corps of Engineers for this project.
And again, John Schmitz, just want to mention quickly that I spoke about the grading as far as the storm drainage goes for the site. We'll be maintaining existing storm drainage patterns, zero net increase in peak flows. We'll be holding the water quality volume, we're infiltrating that into the groundwater, and also be providing for 80% whole suspended solids removal from runoff before it's infiltrated into the ground. Happy to answer any questions or.
When was that Army Corps of Engineer report presented to us?
So it's a DGUS, for the record. It's in your packets of information, and the wetland is attachment of the wetland assessment report. That determination was done a few years ago, but we reached back out to the Corps, and just recently, within the past 6 to 8 weeks, they submitted correspondence to us, which is in your packets. That indicates that their determination of non-jurisdiction is still valid.
Did that get forwarded to us, Brian?
What's that?
Did that get forwarded to us?
No, it's a large pack.
So it has not been presented to the board?
I have it here. If you want to go through it, some pages.
Yeah, so its reference is attachment B in the wetland assessment report. I could show that if the chair would allow. I can show the commission member the documentation right now.
plans here?
This references wetland 6.
So, yeah, and so in our wetland assessment report, we do have a section that describes that. The Army Corps, so the wetland consultant at the time and the Army Corps referenced that as water 6. In the documentation that we reviewed, and they concurred that it's what we consider as wetland 5 is the same thing as water 6. The same size, same location, same description. It's just different monitors that they're used.
Any other questions? Does the commission have any other questions? Now your removal of the invasive species, what method?
The most successful method that we've employed on other projects, and that's also approved by the Connecticut Native Species Plant Working Group, is what's called a stump cut method. We cut the plants down to the stump level, immediately apply an herbicide that's approved for use in this method for basic treatment. We either hand apply it with a sponge, a brush, or a low volume sprayer to minimize overspray impacting adjacent plants, and remove the tops of those plants. And then as part of the overall mitigation plan, there's a 3-year monitoring plan. So we'll continue to monitor reoccurrence of any invasives within the treated areas as well.
So you would apply it before you cut it down?
Yeah, what we,
You apply it on the stump?
on the stump cut surface, yeah. Yeah, and then you usually wait for a few weeks, because what happens with the herbicide, it gets translocated or drawn into the root system, it kills the roots. We allow that process to happen for a few weeks before we go back in and plant natives.
That's all handwork being done? No equipment?
In the wetland areas, that will be entirely handwork. In the uplands, we may utilize some machinery just to help kind of pull the material out. That material has the tops have to be removed out of the wetland system. That'll be done by hand, but once we get to the upland, adjacent upland area, there'll be probably some mechanical assistance to kind of remove that material, chip it, and haul it offsite. And all that work's done in the direction of the project wetland scientist.
That's basically the same method that was proposed under the original plan, correct?
That's correct. It's essentially identical as the original plan that was approved by the commission. We've just now expanded the areas for treatment.
I know you said, what was the area for treatment?
It's 3.2 acres in wetlands and 5.5 acres in upland review area. So it's a little under 10 acres.
Anyone else on the commission have any questions? Anybody like to speak?
The I'm not really sure.
Name and address, please.
Patricia Williams, 69 Menlo Drive. The Uplands wetlands, that includes the property to the south on this diagram? Is that the upland wetlands?
Number one.
I'm just trying to get an idea of where that is that you're talking about on the map, the upland wetlands that you're going to be doing that work on. Is that, which direction of the property is that on?
So I'm happy to answer the question. Typically, questions should be directed to the chairman, and through the chairman, we can answer.
Okay, that's the first question, and if you want to answer that, I'll wait and then ask my second question.
Yep, yeah, I can respond.
Could you just move the screen and come to it directly for her? Make it maybe a little easier.
Thank you.
Because I don't know if my second question pertains to it.
We have a laser pointer to the right side.
So the wetland boundary is this line right here.
And that's the upland wetlands?
So this is the wetland. Anything that is shaded this tan color is wetland. And then it's a little difficult to see, but there is a dashed blue line right here.
Yep.
That's the 100-foot upland review area. It shows up better in this green space. So that's the upland review area. This is the wetland system.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so in that area, you're saying that that's where you're going to do the cutbacks of the plants, the invasive plants? That whole tan area?
Yeah, I think you can have
All of the tan area in the green, or any in particular?
We're going to get to the slide that shows the specific mitigation areas.
Okay.
There we go. I can slide the projector up. So this dark blue shaded area, this wetlands,
Yes.
that is the wetland enhancement area. And then this dark green shaded area is the upland review area enhancement to, this is what we call this wetland 1. And then this bottom section is what we call wetland 4. So this dark shaded area is the upland review area enhancement to wetland 4.
Okay. My second question is, in relation to that, when you remove all of this earth to level this out, you're coming down on a lot of areas that were elevated, and therefore all the water that fell on those areas would travel into those wetlands, and now it's going to be caught in catch basins, right, in the parking lot. So none of that water is going to be entering the wetlands anymore in this whole area, correct?
So I can start the response, and then I'll hand it up to John to talk, because BL designed the stormwater management system role to make sure that we're maintaining essential existing drainage patterns in the site. But you raise a valid concern. So this wetland, large wetland system to the east side, we call this wetland 1, is actually upgrading of this proposed building. So there won't be any adverse hydraulic effect from the project, because really nothing, no water from this area drains north into that wetland system. For wetland 4, we are maintaining some inputs into this system, and then there are some also inputs that John can talk about that are more towards the north end of the site. But the stormwater management system has been designed to treat both volumetrically and water quality, any runoff from both facility, and then put it back where it belongs, so that none of the wetlands are going to be impacted from a hydraulic standpoint. But I'll let John describe
Or
it.
from the salt or any treatments that are done in that area?
That's correct.
And I don't have anything to add to that. Good, just describing it.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah, I was just more concerned with, like, in the winter, I know there's going to be a lot of snow removal and probably salt treatments and all of that. If you're putting water back into those wetlands,
Schmitz. Again, as far as stormwater goes, collected in catch basins throughout the site, and then routed, conveyed 3 different discharge points. One is along the east side of the building, the underground infiltration system that runs almost to the left of the building. Under the parking area, stormwater will be collected. It will be treated for total suspended solids. Particles are removed through a hydraulic separator before it's infiltrating the ground. Pre-treating the water quality and volume, flow rate is required by DEP. That water then, above and beyond the water quality volume, is discharged at a flared end at this location on the east side, where then water would flow overland into the existing wetlands. There's also another outlet very close to our easterly driveway, Plainfield Pike Road there. That's going to take some of the flow off the easterly drive. Same thing, running it through a hydrodynamic separator, cleaning the water, getting 80% of solid that's removed prior to discharge at that location. And then a third discharge point is into an existing swale somewhere in this area. It's roughly just to the west of our westerly driveway. Again, hydrodynamic separator collecting and separating off close to suspended solids before it's discharged. With regards to the stormwater, or rather snow, so snow will be stockpiled in various areas around the site, in some of the landscape areas, which is the perimeter. And the idea with placement of snow, when we have areas adjacent to the parking areas, the idea with that is that as the snow melts, it will be loaded, I should say loaded. It will contain some of the pollutants that you would typically find in rain. So when the snow melts, you have to make sure that it doesn't melt into the wetlands, it has to melt and then get back into the catch basins, and so that storm, so that runoff, that snow melt is also treated and receives the same treatment as the 80% suspended solid that is infiltrated in a similar fashion as just regular rainwater. So it's designed in that fashion to operate. I just described. The same thing with our parking area and this location reserved for employees. There's areas in there, landscape areas that can contain snow, so it's not bad areas. All right, thank you.
I have some.
I might have another question after, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to think on it.
Okay.
I have one question.
Good evening, my name is Michael Clark, it's John Michael Clark. I live on 25 Putnam Road on Route 12 across from the Bubbles Laundromat. I've lived there for 36, 7 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I first want to thank you, members of the Wetlands Commission, for your unpaid public service. It's a very important function that you perform, and we're lucky to have your service. I had a forthright conversation with Kevin before this. He knows my concerns, but some of them involve zoning, which is more properly brought up under a zoning board hearing, which is coming up. If you want to see my preliminary comments on the last zoning board hearing, at which the extension of the warehouse facilities were discussed, you can go to YouTube and you'll see my comments posted under Freddie Freihofer. That's my name for posting on YouTube. But tonight we're talking about wetlands. Kevin assured me before the meeting that, and I'm very concerned about the Army Corps of Engineers, and he assured me that everything has been cleared by them. And I believe I heard that the Army Corps of Engineers cleared and approved the original project. I know that for certain, but I want to make certain that this extended project, which is now 1.2 times the size of the original project, has been cleared as such by the Army Corps of Engineers. And maybe the chairman could get someone to talk on that, and I'll proceed from there.
Yeah. Again, Dean Gustafson. As I just described earlier, the project will not impact any resources defined as waters in the United States, and therefore the Army Corps of Engineers has no jurisdiction over this project. The one question that was remaining
was whether wetland 5, which was a small isolated wetland, whether that was Army Corps jurisdiction and considered law of the United States or was. The Corps responded and determined that it's not jurisdictional. So wetland 5, the only wetland resource impact is not a wetlands feature, so there is no Army Corps jurisdiction.
May I continue? May I continue? So, from what I'm hearing, it's not an assured thing that the 1.2 size project has been cleared. The reason I bring that up is I've had experiences in warehouses before. I'm not against this one. Kevin knows that. The project looks like it could be beneficial in many ways. I want to mention another project on which the Army Corps of Engineers got involved, and that was the Lowe's warehouse down on Tarbox Road in the early 2000s. Some of you may recall that everything had been approved, the zoning was done, everything else was approved, and then the Army Corps of Engineers got involved. If I remember correctly, they found a creature there, I believe it was a spotted toad, and that changed the whole complexion of the site. The site had originally been planned to be 200 yards off of Tarbox Road. After the creature was found, the Lowe's facility was moved right up to Tarbox Road. It abutted Tarbox Road, and it was right on the other side of the road from the residential homes there in Tarbox Road. The results had serious effects on the lifestyle and quality of life of the residents there. And I won't go into the consequences, but they lasted for years. That doesn't look like the case here with this project. I just want to say that once permissions are given, as they were in the case of the Lowe's warehouse, and this is where your responsibility is serious, once permissions are given, things can happen with other governmental agencies, which are very unpredictable. And it's better to make sure beforehand that the worst case scenarios are not going to happen. Now, it's very possible that these fine gentlemen here have assured us that that isn't going to be the case here. And there aren't as many people living in that area. There are some folks who are impacted, of course, and they have a right to be concerned. But I just want to mention that after permissions are given, things can change when other authorities get involved. So thank you very much. Just bear that in mind, whatever you may do.
Dean Gustafson. So as I've stated before, we have documentation that's been submitted to the Wetland Commission that the Army Corps has no jurisdiction on this project. With respect to the toad on the Lowe's project, that was a state wood toad. It's a state list of species, federal list of species. There are no rare species. The NDV, the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection's biodiversity database map shows no buffer areas on or adjacent to this site, so there's no state listed or federal listed rare species of concern on this project.
The Army Corps, they have a say on the size of the building?
No, they have absolutely zero jurisdiction on this project. The only way the Corps has jurisdiction on a project like this is if you have a direct impact to a water resource that's defined as waters of the United States. So as soon as you impact that per square foot that's considered woods, whether that's permanent or temporary, then you trigger the Corps jurisdiction. They may review the size of the building, but it's all going to be dependent on resource impacts. So since we don't have any water impacts in this project, the Corps has zero jurisdiction.
Just for clarity, Ryan Ray staff, back when Lowe's was approved, the laws were slightly different, and Army Corps did have jurisdiction over the wetlands on that property. Not that they were waters of the U.S., but back then they were viewed to be waters of the U.S. Case law has since changed what they have jurisdiction over. In a small pocket of wetlands such as this, they do not have jurisdiction over. Also, the reference to the salinators and toads, that was regulated through DEP back then. And there was no approvals prior to those studies. Those studies happened prior to approvals. They required modifications to the preliminary plans that we had. And everything was approved after DEP had their say.
Anyone else like to speak?
Kevin Cunningham, 405 Moose Pond Road. And the only comment I would make from this point would be as long as the erosion and sediment control is followed by the Wetlands Office, then I would ask that this be supported and request the approval for construction. That's it.
Dean Gorman, 15 Robin Road. I do have a question for the board that can be directed there, and then I have a comment. I'm curious, I've been following this a little bit, but I'm curious as to the need of expanding from 1 million square feet to 1.25. What thought about that expansion? That's my first question.
For the record, I'm Tony Farrell. I'm a Uline employee, also a designated representative for Plainfield Pike LLC. The expansion of the building, so Skinnell had a non-leased building, a spec building at 1 million square feet. They had no tenants. Our building and operation and the expansion of our products require about a 1.25 million square foot building to allow us to operate properly and continue with the growth of the company without ever having to re-expand this building.
The other comment I would like to make is I hope that the board does their due diligence and gives the go-ahead on this project. Follow this a bit. I've attended a couple of these meetings, and I feel like the gentlemen have done an exceptional job mitigating the impact on wetlands, especially on the problem with the wetlands in Platte, I believe it is, and how that was a man-made wetlands, but really doesn't have a major impact on this particular project. I do think that this project will be a great economic boost for our town, and I'd like to see it go forward.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
I got a slight concern about material stored at the facility, because aren't we over the lot, right there? Are there any hazardous chemicals being stored on the facility we should be concerned about?
That is not an aquifer protection district.
That's not aquifer protection district?
There are no wells in that area. No Connecticut water wells in that area.
I thought the aquifer protection came down to 14A and was all through that area.
No.
Does the building have any floor drains?
For the record, again, Tony Farrell. We do have floor drains. They are mostly in our restroom area and our scrubber bay areas, which also are connected to sanitary. As far as chemical storage, we do have alcohol storage in the building. It is a self-contained cabinet, so as not to leach out or spread across the warehouse. We also have a very robust MSDS cleanup procedure for our products that we store in the building.
Any other questions? Anybody else like to speak? Entertain a motion. Close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing for 24-2.
Motion been made. We have a second. Seconded. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Guy on my left, roll call.
Tom Sinkovich.
Ron DeJardi. Sean Peterson.
Ralph Wells. Joe Campbell.
Randy Stillwell.
Ryan Gregg.
Call our regular meeting to order. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
We do have one. Under new business, item A, 24-3W of Robert Seal, requesting permission to install 52 linear feet block retaining wall along Moosa Pond Road, along Moosa Pond, to establish a beach area and water access on property located at 175 Pond Hill Road. Disturbance of 375 square feet of wetlands is proposed, and they also are recreating the same amount of wetlands on the property. So we need to add that, both that on the agenda.
Make a motion to add that to the agenda.
I make a motion to add 24-W2.
Isn't that already on our agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry, that did make it. I'm sorry, strike that.
Okay.
Okay. Next item, review and act on the minutes of the meeting 2/20/24.
There's several typos of my name in the minutes. I've already mentioned it, I believe. With the corrections of those spelling errors, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion been made, second.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished old business, 24-2W Plainfield Pike LLC. Looking for approval to construct 1,253,914 square foot commercial warehouse, associated paved parking within the upper review area for property located at 143 to 151 Plainfield Pike, Assessors Map 25, Block 36, Lot 32. Do you have any discussion? Not. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to 4-2W of Plainfield Pike LLC be approved with condition that the town planner or wetlands enforcement officer has the ability to require additional erosion and sediment control measures if, in their opinion, the site conditions warrant.
Motion been made, we have a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Is there anything that we don't already have?
New business, 24-3W. Seal.
Robert, that's a typo, Roberts.
Requesting permission to install 52 million feet long retaining wall on the roof of to establish a beach area, water access located at 175 Pond Hill Road. Disturbance of 375 square feet of wetlands is proposed. Assessors map 1 MP lot 115B, lot 14.
So we received this, we are not able to act on it tonight. I wanted to point out that as there is 275 square feet of wetlands disturbance, 375, sorry. This commission typically views any disturbance of wetlands as being a significant impact and sends it off to public hearing. So at tonight's meeting, your job is to determine if this in fact constitutes a significant impact and schedule a public meeting next month if that's your desire.
I'll deem it as a significant impact and send it to public hearing next month.
Make that in the form of a motion.
As a motion, sorry, my motion is to make a significant impact and send it to public hearing next month.
Motion been made, we have a second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries, scheduled for public hearing next month.
Any opposed? Yes.
Next item, is there any agent approval?
There is none.
Citizen participation?
Any citizens like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda?
Correspondence?
We have one Connecticut Wildlife magazine, if anyone would like it.
Do some start. Do that.
Any complaints? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.